My name is Judas Mendicant, the artist formerly known as Full Spectrum Trav, who was formerly known as Colored Boy Trav, who was known before that as Travelin' Trav. Travelin' Trav's Transrational Blues. Judas Mendicant. Transrational Blues is an unsingable song that heals the epigenetic trauma, the generational curses, that inherited karma. Do not allow the artificial intelligence to draw you fully into its world. Work with real people in real time.
Is the government that you see over you now the one you have consented to? And what about the government in here? Is there justice happening here? That's a question that only you can answer for yourself, which is also the only place that true authority can arise from.
Music education. Pulse and pentatonic.
Our friend Henry David Thoreau said, "I should not talk so much about myself if there were anybody else whom I knew as well." He also wrote an essay called Civil Disobedience. Hi, my name is Trav, and I am an autobiographical artist. It turns out that focusing on the self can be really self-destructive, which is why if you are an autobiographical artist, it helps to try to tell the big story through your story, to see the all in one and the one in all. And then, as far as I understand, the story of self might be informative to others.
I forgave all those deities who had crossed me as I led my body to the burial ground.
I have discovered that every time I judge another human being, every time I hate, every time I hurt someone else, I am truly only hurting myself. And this is from lived experience. I have discovered this. I have seen this in my life over and over again. The root of all suffering, I have heard it said, is the illusion of separation, that I am somehow separate from you. Judge not, lest ye be judged, because when I judge you, I am only judging myself. I can only see myself in you. If you spot it, you've got it, I've heard it said.
We can describe it now in diverse and many ways. The great tyranny that we have apparently chosen, that we have allowed ourselves. The Declaration of Independence says that the government that we see over ourselves is the one basically that we have consented to. Is the government that you see over you now the one you have consented to? And what about the government in here? Is there justice happening here? That's a question that only you can answer for yourself, which is also the only place that true authority can arise from.
What does one do in their darkest moment? Do you know what it's like when the hurt, the hate, the abandonment, the rejection, the isolation is right on the surface? Do you know what that's like? Human conditioning. To love unconditionally, we sometimes must learn to name and describe those conditions. In other words, the human condition will keep conditioning us until we are aware of our conditioning and the methods by which we have been conditioned. Naming and describing our conditioning can be a part of our educational process. But even education is only one part of the process. It is not enough by itself. We can describe the problem ad infinitum and still not experience our own healing, is what I'm saying. So one way I encountered that in the world is in talk therapy. I learned to describe my inner turmoil, my torment, very well. And I could describe it in somewhat clinical terms, yet I was still bound by my own story of suffering. So I could describe my inner problem, yet I wasn't free from it. And I also see this on the outside, as now we're all becoming in our own minds sometimes, these little investigative journalists who are trying to understand the world, and you can just go down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. I believe that stuff is necessary, but it has to be in the context of this greater, loving, forgiving, super powerful, I will not give away my power discipline. A discipline that I believe can only come by the true and deepest spirit of love, that which we have called God, that light which I saw in Jesus Christ.
I seen brothers, crying out loud, seen them going down.
Great Father, great Mother, we are coming home.
Do not allow the artificial intelligence to draw you fully into its world. Work with real people in real time.
Lightning time.
Lightning time.
Hi, I'm Trav. The Transrational Blues is an unsingable song that heals the epigenetic trauma, the generational curses, that inherited karma.
You realize, don't you, that just turning on the lights in our culture makes you an accomplice?
We've been hunting for a long while. We've been gathering too. We've been hunting for a long while. Oh, we learned to sing blues. That born into sin thing that we have to work with. Oh my gosh, it's a building filled to the top with music. Yeah. Love and forgiveness. Jesus is the one who shows us the way. When we choose to forgive, even in the midst of the most devastating conditions, we claim and reclaim our divine power. Love never fails. We do not fear death because we believe in our resurrection. No one can take our power. Speaking truth to power. When, with a heart of love, we can name and describe the suffocating conditions, God dismantles the false authorities in our personal lives and in our world. In other words, we speak truth to power. The light of love shines into the darkness. Those people in your life who depend, codependence, on you tolerating the suffocating conditions will eventually get the point. Those that appear to be others, it will probably be uncomfortable. Behind all of this codependence is a gross misperception of what love is. You are undoing the great fuckery into which you were born. Congratulations. What we resist persists. Without true love and forgiveness, we only add power to that which we are fighting. As above, so below. As we allow God to guide us through this process in our personal lives, we are saying a great prayer for the whole world, for every individual, and for all of us. This is our intercession, a loving intercession of fearless and ferocious forgiveness, the lion and the lamb at the same time, wise like a serpent, gentle like a dove. May the Lord bless you and keep you, cause his face to shine upon you, be gracious to you, and give you peace.
So won't you find your love, brothers and sisters? Make your pilgrimage to the deep recesses now. Time for drawing closer is the time already here. Wreckage of the past, no sway, no how.
Travelin' Trav's Travelin' String Camp. One of the friendly faces of Portales and ENMU in my heart. Thanks, Brian, for your hospitality.
You use the word creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's a little kind of like, is that
Yeah.
okay? And then and you're like.
Music education.
You can see there's a quiet little pool right there behind that big rock. And I stood there behind that big rock and watched the waters just coming right toward me, and I could...
You're starting to get your feathers